Hey y'all, and welcome to Politbrawl. My name is Brian, and we all know that Joe Biden has some form of dementia. That's undeniable at this point. But y'all, the mainstream media and even doctors are looking left, looking right, and admitting Joe Biden might have Parkinson's. This is wild, y'all. And before we jump in, this channel is sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. If you want to protect your wealth against Bidenflation, Bidenomics, and the insanity of the Federal Reserve, you need to invest in the experts who will help diversify your account and protect your hard-earned dollars.
My first question to you is, as somebody who's a neurologist, what you've seen from the president over the last 2 years, what you saw at the debate, the last few interviews, the way he speaks, the way maybe he walks, have you noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Oh, yeah, I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, oh, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemmonode dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of en bloc turning. It's not a quick turn. That's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold, hypophonia. A small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall.
Here are some of the symptoms from Parkinson's. We just had him up there on the screen. If we can put him back. What about the movement? Some people have pointed out the way he walks. Sometimes it's not very fast, small steps. Is that something that is common in people who are battling a disease like Parkinson's?
Yeah, it's a hallmark. Shuffling gait, we call that, so little steps. Loss of arm swing from the rigidity. When we walk, we have a nice cadence. You notice he doesn't really swing his arms. And en bloc turning, meaning he kind of pivots around his foot. If you said, hey, President Biden, he wouldn't go like this. Yeah.
But I also know, and tell me if I'm wrong here, it's very hard to diagnose Parkinson's, isn't it? It's not simple. I mean, I've heard that it can be.
It's one of the easier movement disorders to diagnose, actually.
Right,
but it's so clinic. There's very little other. And I'm a Democrat. I always say about this.
Right.
It's just like this guy is not a hard case.
But I've had relatives who have gone through neurological issues, and I've heard that sometimes Parkinson's is not very easy to nail. You have to take a lot of tests.
It's early on. If you're just presented with like hallucinations, that could be a variety of things, or just the cognitive problems. That could be Alzheimer's versus Parkinsonism, and that becomes a little nebulous. But once you start manifesting the hallmark motor symptoms,
right? Slow
movement, rigidity, mass facies, hypophonia. I mean, if a med student did not pick Parkinson's on the test, they'd be remediated.
This is wild, y'all. This is NBC, and might have been MSNBC. This is a Democrat doctor and a clear left-wing operative working, hosting a television show on the mainstream media, and they're out here admitting, without any fight in the matter, that Joe Biden might have Parkinson's disease, not just dementia. All right, I know what Alzheimer's looks like. All right, I've had I've had a great-grandparent go down to Alzheimer's. I've had a great-grandmother goes down to dementia. Currently, my Nana has dementia, and that's just been a horrible ride. I've been so close to her. So I know what dementia and Alzheimer's look like from personal experience. I don't know what Parkinson's looks like. And so I'm going to take the word of this doctor, and even the guy in the media who is pushing back ever so slightly that, well, Parkinson's is hard to diagnose. Here's the reality. The medical doctor who is assigned to Joe Biden has apparently, according to released results, for the past 8 months been testing him for Parkinson's disease. Y'all, times are rough. Record inflation is still not under control. We have a president who doesn't know what planet he's on, and the Federal Reserve continues to make dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision. You can gamble on Wall Street all you want, but if you want to diversify and protect your wealth, you need to look into my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. These amazing experts understand how to keep your wealth safe and protected from the volatility of our current market. And there's even a great deal for first-time accounts. Free gold and silver-backed IRA accounts, insurance on whatever precious metals you happen to buy for 5 years, up to $7,500 worth of silver, and a nice safe for you to keep all this good stuff in. So go take a look at their website, link in the description below, or call the phone number below so you can talk personally to Paul Stone, CEO, and his amazing team of experts to protect your wealth today. So that actually meets the requirements of this show host, and the doctor is saying, yes, this is obvious at this point, he has Parkinson's. Even medical school students could diagnose him from, as what this doctor said, from across the National Mall. This is a wild story, but it's deeper than just the media is finally admitting it. Remember how the media held on to the Access Hollywood tapes of Donald Trump saying some fairly gross things off the cuff? Yeah, they know. They've sat on this story for 2 years now. They have been lying to rich white liberals who live up in their ivory tower and have nothing better to do than just eat the slop from CNN and MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, you name it. And the media has been feeding them lies and half-truths. Ultimately, just to prop up Joe Biden because they hate Donald Trump and they hate Republicans that much. This isn't just Trump derangement syndrome. The media has hated Republicans. Let's see, how far back does this go? Since probably about the Great Depression. Because remember, Herbert Hoover got raked through the mud, even though he was basically FDR, FDR light. Although thankfully, he was not as extreme as FDR, who tried to pack the court, tried to take all your gold away. Let's see, he tried to go around Congress multiple times. The man was not a good domestic president. He did some good things. I'm thankful for the FDIC that he specifically installed. But y'all, the media has hated Republicans since the Great Depression, and it has not looked back. And so this isn't just prop up Biden, it's an attempt to go against Trump and all of the Republican Party. Remember how badly they treated Mitt Romney, who is essentially a moderate, almost centrist person? John McCain, same thing. They dragged George W. Bush through the mud. They dragged Herbert Walker through the mud, although not as much because, he was the former head of the CIA. And then they even sat on the terrible stories that came out about Bill Clinton's improprieties, but they will shout from the rooftops just how bad Trump is. Finally, however, the debate has come along. The debate came up, millions of Americans tuned in, and were horrified. They were horrified that Joe Biden looks like a man that needs to be in a nursing home. That every Sunday or every Saturday gets to see his grandkids and great-grandchildren. Yes, including the one that Hunter had with the stripper. And he needs to be put out to pasture. The man has been just a stuttering mess for decades now. He has been nothing but a media nightmare. And during the Obama administration, they basically had to put him under a bunker at certain times because he would just fly off the handle and say something really dumb. Now that's par for the course because it looks like, from a doctoral perspective, I'm not a doctor. I deliver medical supplies. That does not make me a doctor. But the doctor, who is a Democrat, ironically enough, I guess when you're rich and white, you can be insulated from society and afford to vote Democrat, but I digress. But a doctor and a media show host on a mainstream media platform is out there straight up admitting Joe Biden probably has Parkinson's. That is a terrible thing for our country. If I was a Democrat, I would be madder than a hornet who just had his nest hit by a rock, because that means that I have been lied to by my own media outlets. And I encourage you, if you're a Democrat watching, think critically for about 2 seconds. If the media has been lying to you about this, what else have they been lying about? Had they been lying about the economic numbers, which essentially just show that extremely wealthy Democrats are improving while poor Democrats are having worse and worse conditions? Is it any wonder that poor Democrats are running screaming towards the Trump side because Joe Biden's policies pushed us over the edge? We were at the edge under Trump, I will admit this. The attempt to pump up the economy during the lockdowns has been horrific for the economy, but the final push came when, for some insipid reason, Joe Biden wanted to pull a Barack Obama, have a stupid infrastructure bill, and that spending pushed us over the edge. We have not recovered since that bill. Joe Biden owns Bidenomics. He owns Bidenflation. He owns the higher gas prices because he refuses to talk at all with Saudi Arabia. Finally, when election time drew near, he had to come in crawling hat in hand to these people, and they told him, get off of our sand. They told him to pound sand. Meanwhile, Donald Trump will go to the Saudis, say, hey, what kind of deal can I make with you? And they made a deal where they made a pipeline through Israel, and they made a peace deal so vast it should have gotten Trump a Nobel Peace Prize. Not that that means anything anymore when, Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize and then immediately committed more acts of war than his predecessor, George W. Bush, could have had in his wet dreams. If I was a Democrat, I'd be mad. I'd be livid that the media has been lying to me for decades. And then I would start thinking, maybe the Republicans have a point. Now, not a lot of them are going to be able to think that far ahead because when you're rich, white, and liberal, you have a mental glass ceiling. It's not possible for you to shatter it. And if you do, you ruin your white ivory tower. It's quite the conundrum. These people can't think too far ahead. They can't extrapolate data. They don't understand the numbers. They don't understand how many people are hurting in America. The media can no longer cover this up. Thanks to the internet, thanks to reality, and thanks to Joe Biden literally having Parkinson's disease. This should not be a close election in 2024. And that's why I would rather support a convicted felon than a man with Parkinson's disease. Or in RFK's case, having literal brain worms eating your brain. I know it's a clown show, but I'd rather have the clown that understands how to walk around and tell a joke than the other two who are bumbling around and wondering why the bull's hitting them while they're sitting in the middle of the rodeo inside of the barrel. This is wild, y'all. I'm glad the mainstream media is finally coming to its senses. But you know what? It's too little too late. I don't think you hate journalists enough. This is a moment of integrity and clarity, and they still don't understand what it fully means. Ultimately, I'd say bless their hearts, but no, not anymore. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politbrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.